I'm Carlotl. Welcome back to more Limbus Company patch notes and new info about the new units. Yeah, it's been a little bit. I've been gone for about 2 weeks, so I'm a little feeling a little off, but you know, that's how it is. I'm very excited because there's a lot of stuff to go over today. 2 new identities, 2 new egos, the patch notes, and a bunch of information about the upcoming Mirror Dungeon 2 coming this patch. So let's not drag on for too long and get started with the 2-star unit, Lobotomy Ego Red Sheet Sinclair.
바라는 것이 있나요? 오셔서 저와 함께 이걸 써보시는 건 어떨까요? 부적이 모자라서는 안 돼요. 그렇다고 제 몸에 너무 많은 부적이 있어서도 안 되고요.
Now, this unit, it's always interesting seeing a new Sinclair unit, that's for sure, because of the fact that we've just it's been like a month and a half since we got Grip Sinclair, but like it still makes it so strange to see new Sinclair stuff, because like it feels like there's no way they'll be able to live up to it. But that's still fine, because this unit is still very interesting, because it's a Rupture unit. Now, if you're not sure why I think a Sinclair Rupture unit is such a strong idea, is because of the fact Branch from the Tree of Knowledge, his default ego, inflicts 12 Rupture. You pair that with an identity that has a way to inflict Rupture count, and just a team that has a way to maintain Rupture count, and that could be insane. But anyways, let's just get started with this. So, the one thing you'll notice about a lot of his things is he's got Talisman. On hit, inflict Rupture by the count. When hit, gain Rupture by the count. Turn end at X plus count, remove all Talisman, and take fixed damage by its count. So basically, for every Talisman Sinclair has, every hit he deals to an enemy inflicts Rupture equal to the amount of Talisman, but whenever he gets hit, he gains Rupture by the amount of Talisman. Which is simple enough, and if you get more than 10, unless they want to change it, it might be like 6 or 5 or something. I think 5 or something could be reasonable. Then it'll just get rid of all of them and he'll take a bunch of damage. You kind of gotta like maintain like a solid range for Talisman. So you'll see everything he has some form of Talisman. It's nice to see because that was the gimmick of some of the stronger Red Sheet normal enemies. These Talismans that gave them positive effects to a point. Yeah, so for his skill 1, he's got Magnify Wound, a 1-coined Gluttony Blunt skill. On hit, inflict Rupture, and on head's hit, if the target has a certain amount of Rupture, then Sinclair gains Talisman. And once again, everything has a Talisman. I think that's pretty much kind of what you hope for a good skill 1. Just something to just like allow him to build up his main mechanic, even if only slightly. Now his skill 2, Proliferating Talismans, a 3-coin Blunt Wrath, or not Wrath, Pride, You see, all 3 of the coins he gains Talisman on hit, and the final one he gains even more Talisman if the target has a certain amount of Rupture. Once again, just sounds like that'll probably trigger most of the time. It depends on just how much Rupture, but if he's giving himself Talisman, then his attacks are going to keep on inflicting Rupture. But we'll see. Maybe it actually requires Rupture count for it to trigger, otherwise it'll count as the Rupture being gone, then he'll have no Rupture, and then the Rupture will be inflicted. I don't know how a lot of that ordering stuff goes. And for his skill 3, he's got Rupturing Talisman, a 2-coin Lust Pierce attack. On hit, spend Talisman on self, and give Talisman to the enemy. So this is interesting. So this is going to be his main way of getting rid of Talisman on himself if he has too much of it. And in the process, it gives the Talisman to the target. Now, because it says give instead of inflict, this makes it sound like however much he spends is exactly how much is going to be given to the enemy, which is really nice. Because it basically means he can use Talisman on himself and Talisman on the enemy to not quite get over that like threshold before it'll like self-inflict, but still do a bunch of Rupture with each hit. And also the 2nd coin, if the target has Talisman, inflict Rupture count. This is his only way to inflict Rupture count, which is a little unfortunate, but I think it happens. It really does. Moving on to his defense, guard on use gain Talisman. So if he wants, he can just gain his Talisman pretty much whenever. The only thing of noting is the fact that it is on use and not on turn start, so he needs to actually defend with this guard for it to trigger, unlike something like, say, Grip Sinclair, where the sanity gain is no matter what, even if he doesn't actually use the defend. And passives are simple enough. normal passive, unfixing talismans. On hit, if the target has rupture, gain talisman. Once again, just kind of buff his talisman up a little bit. I do wonder if it's really going to depend on what the maximum talisman is, because he seems to have a lot of ways to build a lot of talisman. And especially because something like this could be unnecessary in longer fights, because he might end up having more talisman than he can get rid of. And his support I said talisman too much. His support passive is Wishing Talisman. At the start of the combat phase, give highest resonance ×2 talisman to the ally with the most HP. So, this is weird. I don't think we've ever seen highest resonance used before as a term. So it might mean just whatever you have the largest amount of ×2 talisman to the ally with the most HP, but that sounds insane. Because it's ×2, I guess. Assuming, this makes me think it's going to be a max of 10 talisman, also the fact that that's what the enemies do, but this seems like it could be a lot of talisman. It could seem to be a bit of an issue if you trigger this support passive too much, but it seems strong enough that it's probably going to have like a relatively hard to use passive, or cost, whatever you call it. Conditions to trigger it, yeah. Overall, it's no competition with Corp Sinclair, that's for sure, and it has pitiful rupture count, which is kind of the whole thing with rupture, since rupture count is more important than count on pretty much any other status effect, because every single attack reduces rupture count on the target, including the ones that are just inflicting normal rupture. But I'm excited to see how it is. It's going to be better than Sloshing Ishmael, that's not really a question. Sorry, Ishmael. And then moving on to K-Corp Class 3 Excision Staff Hong Lu.
바깥이 낮인지 밤인지는 구분하기 힘들어요. 저는 적출이 필요할 때 빼고는 항상 이곳에 있으니까. 투입인가요? 네? 아, 앞으로 더 많이 부르시겠다고요? 잘됐다. 너무 심심했거든요.
Now, this is of course the 3-star of the banner, and it's also got its own gimmick, K-Corp Ampules. At less than X count, heals by a portion of max HP based on the effect's count, so basically it'll just be passive healing. However, if he reaches X count, he just dies. So, very silly, that's for sure. Similar to like something like Surgery, where too much of it will just kill the user, although in this case it's got more of a positive effect normally than decreasing max HP. Just giving him some HP regen at a cost. So this is another rupture unit, just like Sinclair. And, yep. It's got not a lot of coins. Very strange, since Hong Lu has a lot of coins with most of his good identities. Hong Lu have a tendency to get good identities now. Maybe this will be where that ends, but we'll see. So, in skill 1, Impede the Intruder, a 1 coin pride / skill, and just gains coin power against targets with rupture. It just says with rupture, so they probably don't need any more than like 1 rupture, but so it'll just roll higher, deal more damage, stuff like that against targets with rupture. Very weak skill 1, but at the same time, skill 1's inflicting rupture isn't like that great of a benefit because of the fact that it's still going to reduce rupture count. Now for his secondary skill, Decay Blade, 2 coin, Gluttony Blunt. On hit, it inflicts rupture, and if the target has a certain amount of rupture, Hong Lu heals himself. Now, of course, this is K-Corp, so it makes sense they've got a lot of self-heal stuff. That's kind of like a big thing about K-Corp. You know. Both the coins do the exact same thing, just being some rupture, and if the target has a certain amount of rupture, heals himself. Simple enough, nothing too noteworthy here. But let's move on to his skill 3, which is where the ampules come into play. Excise Target. 2 coins, Sloth Slash. Above a certain percentage of HP, gain coin power. So of course, being high HP, it's probably going to be like above like 90% or something if I had to guess. It's going to be something like hard to reach if you didn't have a bunch of healing. First coin just inflicts rupture, and the second coin inflicts rupture by the amount of ampule Hong Lu has. And it deals more damage as well based on the amount of ampule. So his similar to Talisman, or Red Sheet Sinclair. His only rupture count is from his tertiary, and it does have a little bit of a condition, that being based on the K-Corp ampule. It might be like 1 rupture count on the target for every K-Corp ampule Hong Lu has, which means if he's got a lot of them, it could be beneficial, but it's hard to say. And that also does require him to build up K-Corp ampules, which can be a little hard, as you can see, because his main way is through ampule injection, defensive skill on use, gain K-Corp ampule next turn. Now, similar to Talisman Sinclair, it's on use, not on turn start, so we'll actually need to defend with it to get the ampule. No, like, one-sided defenses just to build up ampules. So you kind of choose when you get ampules for the most part, but then there's regeneration ampule activation. So this is a once per battle passive, as you can see here. When hit, if at less than a certain percentage HP, and of course when this passive is active, heal and gain K-Corp ampule. After this activates, gain fragile every turn for the rest of the battle. And of course you can't trigger multiple times. So if he's low HP, if you've got enough to trigger the passive, it'll probably be like Gluttony owned or something. If I had to guess, like, oh, if you've got 3 Gluttony owned, 4 Gluttony owned, something like that, then it'll trigger. Because it's got enough conditions as it is. I don't think it'll be too high of a price to pay. And it's got a downside. And his support passive at the start of the next turn, give K-Corp ampule to the ally with the lowest HP percentage. That's pretty good support passive. This one's probably going to be a kind of awful trigger to get. But we'll see, It's hard to say. Overall, he doesn't seem like he'll be that strong of a unit. I guess we'll have to see what his rolls are. I hope his rolls are going to be really high, because he's got a pitiful amount of like actual damage dealing stuff. I mean, it feels kind of like a Gregor identity just because of the self-healing. But I'm still hopeful because it looks cool, which is, of course, the truth for pretty much everything. But yeah, that's all I have to say about both of these new identities. So let's move on to the 2 new egos. Now, in case you didn't see, these 2 egos are a little different in the fact that they're 2 egos from the same abnormality from LobCorp, and they're for the same person.
Limbus 컴퍼니. 자, 맛볼 시간이다. 영영을 볼 시간이다. 항상 지켜보고 있었지. 너를 구하러 오겠다는 사람은 없더라.
Red Eyes Ryoshu and Red Eyes Open Ryoshu. Teth and he respectively. Now these two kind of work hand in hand. Teth Red Eyes is all about inflicting bind. It inflicts bind on hit. If they have a certain amount of bind, it'll inflict plus coin drop just to weaken their attack. And if their speed is lower than the user's, they'll gain slash fragility next turn. And the corrosion is literally the exact same effect, so I'll just have a different roll. Silly enough. In the passive, on Clash Wind, inflict bind next turn 3 times per turn. Once again, a lot of bind stuff. Slash fragility. Of course, Lust slash attack. That's not really a shock from Ryoshu. She loves her slash attacks. But then Red Eyes Open is where that comes into play. So as you can see, it's an Envy slash. AoE targets 3 slots. If main target speed is lower than the user by a certain amount or more, gain coin power. So if you can attack someone you've gotten a bunch of bind on from using normal Red Eyes, then this will do a lot of damage, because on hit, if target has X plus bind, deals even more damage. So it's definitely kind of like a 2 thing combo. It makes me think that the Red Eyes Open's probably gonna have like a rather... It's probably not... Its cost probably won't impede too much on the cost of just this Red Eyes. We'll see though. And as you can see, this little thing here, if this skill staggers or defeats a target, so if it just staggers or defeats a target, and this is an AoE, so there's a decent chance it'll do one of the two, heal the user and the eye of least HP by a portion of max HP. So kind of similar to the effect of, say, we'll say like Pursuance, how Pursuance there's like 2 lowest, although in this case it's just Ryoshu herself and 1 lowest. And it's only on stagger or defeat, which kind of seems like it might just be a reoccurring thing with Ryoshu, because her 4th match flame also buffed herself on defeating enemy. And then if we look at the corrosion here, yeah, once again, it's the oh, it's not the exact same thing. Huh? Wait, I just noticed it's coin power here and final power here. This doesn't make a difference if it's only 1 coin, does it? Coin power only matters. It's the exact same thing with 1 coin. Coin power would only make a difference if there was more than 1 coin. Oh well. But the passive is also very interesting. If this unit healed more than a certain portion of the max HP this turn, gain attack power up next turn. Now, I don't know for sure if it's only an account like actual healing. Like, if you heal at max HP, will it still count towards this? I hope so, but this could have like a very much like an absorption type effect from Ruina. And the fact that it's just going to be big power-ups in exchange for just being able to heal yourself, even if you don't need the healing, hopefully. But we'll see. Overall, they look very cool. It's interesting that the corrosions do so little differently, but there's already 2 different egos, so I'm not too bothered. I'm very glad to see it. They're definitely going to be ones you're going to want to use together, so her 4th match flame may be a little overshadowed from now on. Which is a shame, because that one's also really cool, but this one is really cool too. But yeah, that's all for the 2 new egos. These, of course, are going to be releasing this update as well. They're going to have their own, like, they're going to have their own target extraction. Don't bother. This is just a warning. If you pull specifically for egos, just don't. Do dailies, stuff like that. Only pull for actual identities. For egos, you'll either get them in time or just get them with shards. It's not worth pulling for. I did see a video of, someone trying to pull for Yisung Dimension Shredder a while back, and it was a little painful. Just use shards. But that's enough of that. Now, this is the part I'm very excited for. The info on the upcoming Mirror Dungeon. So, it's going to be added this update, and, a lot of these images are going to show hard. Hard is coming the week after. For now, we're only going to worry about normal Mirror Dungeon 2. And here you can see the name, Mirror of Mirrors, as opposed to Mirror of the Beginning being the first one. Mirror of Mirrors is the second one. It's a very fitting name. It's supposed to relate a lot to Yisung, that stuff. And, of course, the requirements, clear main story. You got to clear chapter Canto 4, and you need to clear the first Mirror Dungeon. Hopefully you've done that already. If you haven't, get started on it. Canto 4 is a little long. It took me like, what, 15 hours of probably more than that in total? But yeah. In Mirror Dungeon 2, you can earn large sums of Battle Pass experience. I'm already max Battle Pass, but it'll just mean a lot more shards for me. Hard mode will be unlocked next update. And this part here, I think what this is saying, basically, if you use your daily bonuses this week before, or next week before the update happens, in that little, what is it, like, I guess you've got like a 4-hour period in between the maintenance starting and the day resetting. I'm pretty sure what this is saying is it'll be refreshed again, so if you want to get every little, like, drop of, like, benefit you can from the Mirror Dungeon, just do it all as soon as the weekly refresh happens this week, and you'll still be able to do more weekly stuff when the update comes out. Although, take it with a grain of salt, I don't know for sure, that's just what it seems to be saying. So, entry cost and reward reception, this is stuff we heard before. You'll no longer need modules in order to enter, but instead, whenever you finish the Mirror Dungeon, you'll be able to choose whether or not to spend the Encapsulate modules to get a reward, or to effectively just do a simulation. According to the changes, free entries and simulations will be removed. Free entries being removed hurts a little. The Encapsulate situation is not great, especially since I do daily Mirror Dungeons, but that's fine. It should still be fine, yeah. Oh well. So you're gonna earn passive XP based on the number of floors. Each expedition is expected to be longer than the first Mirror Dungeon. So it says here, we determined that the lengthening of playtime for repetitive contents will come off as burdensome to many players. Yeah, As such, even if you only clear up to floor 3 of Mirror Dungeon 2, you'll still be able to obtain 80% of past experience and 100% of lunacy compared to the rewards for clearing floor 3, or floor 5. So, even if you want to just do like 3 floors and then just give up there, like, you'll still get like pretty good rewards, it would seem. You don't even need to go all the way if you're not a fan of like the grindiness, although I am a fan of the grindiness, so to each their own. So changes to clear rewards. So you'll no longer get ego shard crates from using the bonuses, but instead you'll get a more battle pass experience mostly. Not in the first dungeon. If you're focusing on the first dungeon, you'll get less battle pass experience from the bonus ones, but more without the bonus from now on. But look at this. 45 battle pass experience from Mirror Dungeon 2 and 75 from Mirror Dungeon 2 hard if you're using the bonus. And you can see it's approximately 67% of that normally. The bonus just is a 50% increase to battle pass experience, and it gives you the lunacy. Yeah, you can see here a lot of the specifics, what they're changing: more cost, more pass experience, more manager XP, which is like level, more floors, more nodes. Simple enough. And yeah, this is just saying what I was saying before. So you no longer get ego shard stuff from from the weekly bonus, because instead the crates have just been put into the battle pass instead. 285 crates effectively, so that'll be fine, I guess. It'll be, I mean, the grind will probably be about the same. You just no longer get that big chunk of crates every week, which is fine because you've got a bunch of them right now from the battle pass. And so yes, so on entry, your identities units are just going to be set to 30 for Mirror Dungeon 1 and 35 for Mirror Dungeon 2. Now for Mirror Dungeon 2 hard, it's going to be based on your actual units, your actual level for the units, but for the just normal Mirror Dungeons, it's just set to the max level, and up, die, and thread spin follows the player's progress. But yeah, so now you've got cost. Basically, it's like a currency you get in Mirror Dungeon runs that allow you to deploy more identities, more egos, particularly in shops, rest spots. Now, of course, the initial team setup doesn't require any cost, so you can just start with whatever, but on hard difficulty, you'll have a set amount of cost, so you won't be able to do whatever you want to start out with. And now we've got new mechanic, Starlight. Now, I don't know why there's still Japanese text here. I don't know. That's a little strange. But, so Starlight is basically just a little buff that you can use at starting Mirror Dungeon, and you gain it by clearing Mirror Dungeon 2. Reaching furthest floors, you cannot use Starlights. I don't know if it's a one-time effect, so maybe if you... So, for example, maybe there's a Starlight that makes it so you gain 1 haste every fight for all your units, something like that, theoretically. We don't know any of the actual Starlights yet. But maybe if you... So, you think about it, you get that Starlight from clearing the Mirror Dungeon 2, and you use it. I don't know if you just permanently unlock that or if it's a one-time thing. If so, I mean, either way works for me. I'll do enough Mirror Dungeons that I should have, like, plenty of them. But it's just a little way to add a little bit more variety. We don't know just exactly what these Starlights are going to do. We don't know how powerful they're going to be. It's probably going to be stuff like Eagle Gifts, though. Starting with Mirror Dungeon 2, the more floors you go up, the enemies gain buffs that persist. Of course, this isn't in Mirror Dungeon 1, so Mirror Dungeon 1 is still fine. 45 new EU gifts, 25 new abno events, and combat encounters against abnormalities will be added. So we may see some more abnos in the Mirror Dungeon too, similar to how Headless Ichthys and the Alleyway Watchdog were originally only shown in the Mirror Dungeons. Or Luxcavation. And like, Refraction Rail used them too. So, changes to events. Whoops. Oh well. So, originally you could use events to heal centers, power them up, provide recruits, and level up. Those are all removed. Instead, healing and recruitment is being removed and integrated into rest stop events and shop events. At rest stop events, sinners can heal HP, or you can spend cost to additionally deploy or change identities and ego. Nice. If you are short some people, you can spend some cost in order to actually gain more people. In shop events, you can pay to heal, you can pay to deploy more people, you can pay to get ego gifts, you can pay to change skills for identities for the run. So you can replace your skill 1 with skill 2, so you have more skill 2. You replace your skill 2 with your skill 3, replace your skill 1 with your skill 3. That's insane. You can just focus entirely on like certain skills. more focusing on that. We'll see how much that costs, how beneficial that is. I don't know if it's just changing a single skill one, or if, like, all of it. It just says one skill. So I think you can change like a single skill 1 to a skill 3. If you do this one, for example, this bottom one, you'd probably have 2 skill 1s, 2 skill 2s, and 2 skill 3s. Which definitely could change how a lot of stuff goes. The EU gift list, so... And just there's a button to show you all the EU gifts you have and check their effects. Nice enough. You can see the cost here. They didn't actually show it anywhere else, I don't think. But yeah, so it seems like you start with 50 cost, most likely. Guess we'll see in your presets. So you can just load like the previously like used one, similar to how what they'd added for Hell's Chicken Dungeon. Just being able to just repeatedly use your best team if that's what you want to do to grind. It shows which direction you need to move in now. That's nice. And you can also see a little bit of background for this one. It looks like it's going to be a lot greener now for Mirror Dungeon 2. Which, of course, little change. And you can also see... that it's showing things. I think it'll go over that now. So don't worry about the fact you can see like the slash, the blunt icons under fights. That'll be going on over the next thing. Ego resources fully carried over between combat and counters, so you can just focus on building up ego resources to spam egos later on. Yeah. And now it shows threads and tiers of egos during setup. It'll show you buffs from events in this little tab. So there's probably going to be more event buff stuff. There's only like 3 of them right now, I think. Something like that. Not a very frequently used thing, but it'll probably be a lot more used here. And yeah, useful types per stage. So it'll show you what, like, what you want for each of these fights. So slash, it'll probably be things mostly weak to slash. Blunt, mostly weak to blunt. Even for the boss, it's showing a slash here, so you know that the boss is weak to slash. You can probably, like, divine some, like, information about, like, what possible bosses. It could be stuff like that. It's hard to say. And this was something mentioned in the past. Event choices being selected before... showing your outcome, so you could see like what you do. That's being implemented in the future, so that's not a thing. If you were looking forward to that, we'll get it sometime later. Other changes, a lot more things here. I won't go all of this. Just mostly changes. The noteworthy thing here, Baba Yaga no longer appears in floor boss encounters and mirror dungeons. A little sad to see, but it was a lot longer fight than the other ones, even if it was a little bit of a fun challenge, sometimes with awful builds. Mirror dungeon 1 shorter. Stages and chains, so there's cost, stuff like that. Phantom Pain being broken somehow, who knows. But that's all for that. And then if we just look at the normal patch notes, there's nothing too big here, I don't think. Of course, new identities, target extraction, new ego target extraction, Sinclair target extraction, Mirror Dungeon 2, Mirror of Mirrors. Major changes, mobile version crashes during combat should be less. My phone, it crashes when I try to load into the game, so it's probably not going to work anyways. And the banner images are going to be changed slightly. And it's going to display even above level 60 for Battle Pass, so that's cool. You'll be able to see just how good you are. A lot more bug fixes. Fixing an issue where apparently Wrath power and Sloth power is broken for Mersault's Capote and Sunshower's Yi-Song, being a double damage modifier instead of an actual +1. Little silly, they mentioned that a while back, though. And yeah, lunacy, the usual. But yeah, I think that's all for the patch notes. A lot of stuff today. I guess... I don't know, I'm looking forward to it a lot. I'll be live streaming the actual update when it comes out, because I want to get a jump start on the actual Mirror Dungeon stuff too. That'll be linked in the description, so you can be prepared for that. It's going to be Wednesday at, 10 p.m. Central Standard Time. Whatever time zone that is for you, it's when the update comes out. That's when I'll be live. But yeah, thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye.